Here, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry is in Jordan to build support for a proposed Syria peace conference. Kerry arrived in the Jordanian capital Amman on Wednesday, ahead of the meeting of top diplomats from the United States and 10 other Western and Arab nations who call themselves the Friends of Syria. Senior members of the main opposition Syrian National Coalition are also due to attend. One of the main items on the agenda is a U.S.-Russian proposal to bring the Syrian government and opposition together next month to negotiate a political solution to end Syria's two-year conflict. The Syrian government says it has made significant progress in recapturing territory from opposition forces, even as it apparently prepares to take part in planned peace talks next month. Viewers Elizabeth Arrott has more from Amman.
The Syrian government offensive against the former rebel stronghold Qusayr comes ahead of a peace conference next month aimed at bringing both sides in the conflict to the negotiating table. Some observers believe the two events are related. Analyst Arrott.
I think the negotiation started. What we witnessed in Al-Qusayr and other areas is part of the negotiation by fire.
The seemingly rapid setback for rebel forces in the key city, a gateway for the government to push further north and east, challenges an assumption that the collapse of President Bashar al-Assad's government is imminent or even inevitable. Arrott believes the rebels can regroup, but he says their position at the negotiating table has been weakened, just as they believe they might be getting greater material help from abroad.
The regime succeeded to send, and his allies, of course, to send a message that if you want to put an end for this conflict by military means, you have to go through a very painful, very long, very costly process. And there is no guarantees that you will win.
Yet some in the opposition have already dismissed the idea of sitting down with the government, demanding President Assad step down as a condition for talks. Few are also pinning hopes on their Friends of Syria allies meeting here in Amman this week. Even as the conflict has dragged in regional and international powers on both sides, rebels remain suspicious of the motives of those organizing the conference, including the United States, which has called for Mr. Assad's ouster. Analyst Salam Al-Falahat.
The world is not serious about confronting Assad's arrogance at all, and this conference is nothing but a way to let the situation continue.
Many Syrians are likely to agree as the war grinds on into its third year, with more than 70,000 people already having been killed. Arrott believes stability rather than politics is their key concern.
4 million Syrians now have no place to live. This is the priority of the Syrian people. I don't believe or even listen to all these lies made by the regime or by the opposition groups.
As the competing interests meet next month to see if a political solution can be had, the voice of millions of Syrians caught up in the conflict may struggle to be heard. Elizabeth Arrott, VOA News, Amman.
Elizabeth Arrott now joins us via Skype from Amman, Jordan. Welcome, Elizabeth. Now,
good to join you, Vincent.
Yeah, very briefly, I know you spent the day in a refugee camp in Jordan. Give us a sense of the situation in the refugee camp and what the refugees are saying.
Well, it's been very difficult. I was last about 6 months ago. It has doubled in size since then. It's 170,000 people, very close to the Syrian border. And that's only a small percentage of the people from Syria here. There's about 500,000 refugees. The camp itself is pretty well supplied. People have basic shelter and water. There are concerns as the summer heat comes in and sanitation becomes a bigger issue. The immediate concern right now is that there has been a stop in the flow of refugees coming in. Mm-hmm. There was, prior to about 5 days ago, something like 2,000, 2,500 refugees coming in every day. Starting 4 or 5 days ago, it dropped to something like 6 a day. Okay. I spoke to one refugee who'd come about 5 days ago with his family. He said there was very heavy fighting and snipers, government snipers were shooting at people trying to leave. But there's also some concern and that the Jordanians may not be letting people in as well.
No,
the government says it has kept the border open.
Yes. Very quickly, we want to go back to Egypt, where you really are based. And today we got some developments on the story of the captured soldiers in the Sinai Peninsula. Tell us what has been going on there and how these soldiers ended up being released, rather.
Well, the army and the various military sources said that had this ongoing operation. They were able to free these 7 security officers without negotiations, but they don't have the militants themselves. They say they know who they are. They say they also have been working since last August when 16 soldiers were killed by militants. They've been trying to step up security, which has been very lax since the revolution. We have tons of arms coming in from Libya, up from Sudan, and they've all come awash. Some go on through Gaza, up to Syria, but some stay in Sinai itself, used to attack Israel.
Why has it been like that?
Egyptian sources.
Yes, why has it been like that, the laxity?
Part of it is a traditional disenfranchisement of people in the Sinai. They haven't shared in the wealth of the region, certainly not from the tourists. So there's that kind of alienation. And then since the revolution, when the security situation has just broken down overall, it's a very vast, empty area and has been very attractive to jihadists and other militants who have and just criminal gangs that have been set up.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for filling us in. And that is Elizabeth Arrott, our correspondent in Cairo. Now,